I just wanted to finish the rest of this video.
Just for you.
Oh, sorry for the commercial, guys.
Enough for two, price for one. Crispy, cheesy, and loaded. If y'all want to drag me that down somewhere because I made a comparison, even maybe it wasn't the best choice of words, but I made that comparison. Listen, it is what it is. If y'all don't like it, if you're offended by it, then I apologize for that. But that wasn't my intention. My intention was to make that comparison.
Black women don't bash black men without cause.
I never said they did without cause.
You did when you.
Yeah, of course he thinks that they do. If he's asserting that black women and black men have the same dynamic as biracial women and biracial men, and biracial women are bashing biracial men, and they're saying that black women are bashing black men. If you're comparing the two and you're saying they're the same, the dynamic is the same, you're saying that black women bash black men, basically. Meaning he sides with black men. I don't understand. A lot of people from the BWE sectors, many of the time, acknowledge that they think a lot of biracial men with black fathers have the mindsets of their fathers. And so, why would it be really odd that he had that perspective if he did? To me, I don't think it's an issue that he may have negative views towards biracial women and black women. But I do think that some of the stuff that I've seen him talk about when it comes to women that are not black, he has a contempt for them, in my experience, from what I've seen of his videos. Contempt not just because, like, oh, they bash me. No, it's a contempt because it's a thing where, you know how men sometimes have an issue with the women that they can't get that they want? That's his issue. You can see that with biracial women, and you can say this with white women. He has a lot of baggage with white women. If you know some of the history he's had with white women, it kind of lets you know that I think this is the reason he ended up with a black woman. It's not because he likes black women. I think there's so much baggage there, especially with white women, that he couldn't pursue his preference in white women. So he went with black women because he felt like he wouldn't feel like he was inferior, you know. Some people are like that, where they believe in the racial hierarchy, and because they believe in the racial hierarchy and they feel they don't amount to a white person, they feel like they cannot touch what they prefer, which is white people. They cannot entertain actually marrying and being in a long-term relationship with a white person because they think they're an inferior human being, you know. These type of people need therapy because they can never get what they actually particularly want, you know. And I'm just of the opinion that I don't think he wants his wife. Anyway, continue.
Implied that you don't know why biracial women would bash biracial men. You said that it was that you don't understand why, and you compared it to the type of bashing that black women do it.
Sorry. I told you why they were bashing the biracial men. They were bashing us because we had black spouses.
Right, but that has nothing to do with black women because black women do not bash black men for having white spouses for the same reasons that a white woman would bash a white man for having a black spouse.
Well, I was making a comparison to that dynamic. If I was wrong on the dynamic, then I was wrong on the dynamic. But I was making a comparison from that.
All right. I'll go ahead and move on because it's like you don't see it. And it's like we're going in circles because you don't see it. It's like Black women had nothing to do with that. And you were wrong for dragging us into a conversation. We are already a beleaguered group of women. And you drag us in a conversation to compare people with white privilege to us, who are bashing you with their white superiority, their embedded white superiority. You dragged Black women into a conversation where we had.
It's not white superiority, it's inferiority. He, as well as the people you're speaking of or whatever, and some people are implying that there were no, or there may have been few biracial women who were actually going after him for this purpose, which I honestly think is true because you don't really see much of biracial women really going after biracial men and who they're with. You really don't see people policing each other like that. I do notice more of the thing where people like him, I think he does it for financial gain, will try to bash biracial women, I think. Sometimes to get attention or to try to start a war with them to try and get attention, I think, is more the situation going on there. And not really bashing them all the time. Any of the time, you could see, like I said, I think he prefers biracial women over black women, but he uses black women. And I've said this plenty of times before. I said this on Lex's Exodus channel. This was actually me defending him to some extent, where I was specifically saying that I never got the feeling that he specifically liked black women. I thought more the thing and more of what he said in the past was that black women, and he was talking about dark skinned women, um, liked him or liked men like him that were lighter skinned. Which, I mean, that's just his personal experience, and he just veers towards those who showed him an interest, you know. I don't think that that means he particularly prefers them. I think it has to do, like I said, with his own personal issues with why he did not pursue the type of woman he actually likes, which is a woman who isn't black. Um, and like I said, he's not birthed by a black woman or a biracial woman, so why should he prefer them? I don't know why anyone will think he should. I mean, from my perspective, I do not consider Egyptians black, but he does. Like his Cleopatra video specifically, he calls Egyptians black, and his mother is Egyptian. So, I mean, there are some videos where he specifically said in the past he identified as black. So I'm thinking his whole biracial identity may very well be just a stage act. He may not even identify as biracial. But that goes back to the whole ideology that a lot of the time people talk about some black men. This isn't all black men, but some black men will have this mentality where they specifically will devalue black women. Much of the reason is because of the society that they grow up in, and they are taught to, I think, devalue black women, and so therefore they will disrespect black women. They will have negative feelings towards black women, like he is displaying by saying, someone is just a black woman with a white parent, or that black women are basically run through, or basically just not giving black women the respect they deserve, you know. But anyway, continue.
Had no business being dragged into the conversation. You in your comment, you compared them to us in the ways that we talk about black men, but we don't talk about black men without cause. In the same way that you talk about your black father. in the same way that you make mention of the wrongs that he's done. Black women are not just going up without just cause, talking about the injustices in our community. Black women are not just going around bashing black men for the hell of it. They're not going around being like, "Oh, you got a white woman."
I never said any of that.
This is what you're implying by saying that a person with white privilege is behaving like a black woman.
That was, again, you're taking.
I don't think biracials have white privilege. That kind of sits wrong with me. It's weird when people say things like that. I don't even think white privilege is real. I mean, if white privilege is real, on my other channel, please explain to me all the people I just showed on that channel. Like, most of the people I showed on that channel were white. I don't think I showed any black people on that channel, and that channel is basically about the broke, the drug addicts, and the fucked up, okay? That's what it's about. Like, that's my channel. My channel is about a lot of messed up people. I'm recording from that channel right now. But the point is, it's like, I don't believe in white privilege. And the major reason why I don't believe in white privilege, like, I've said this before. I used to have neighbors when I was really broke that were tunnel people, okay? And I remember when I would go to the 7-Eleven and the black people would go past, go into the 7-Eleven. White people would be sitting on the sidewalk begging for change, dollars, or whatever the fuck. And somebody would say something about white privilege. I'd be like, what the fuck is on with you? Like, if white privilege really existed, this person would not be on the ground on the sidewalk of 7-Eleven living in a fucking tunnel when they go to bed at night, you know, and begging for change from us, you know. Where it's a white privilege. If white privilege existed, there would be no white people living in tunnels, okay? By the way, when I say tunnels, I mean in Vegas, we have a whole big tunnel system. And, you know, our apartment complexes, I lived in an apartment complex at the time, but like the casinos around us and so forth, uh, we have a lot of tunnels right nearby, these places where the floods kind of like, the water goes out, I guess, it kind of fills up. And sometimes I guess supposedly it kills the people in the tunnels because it's so dangerous down there. But the point is of that matter is the fact that I mean, it was these people basically were white people, and yet they didn't have white privilege enough to not live in a tunnel or not be on a 7-Eleven sidewalk begging for change. I mean, you know, that's my life in what I've seen is I've constantly seen broke white people. I've actually seen way more broke white people than I ever saw broke black people. Every now and then you might see a broke black person. Most black people do not get on sidewalks begging for change, honestly, where I was around. But then again, I don't know. I'm in every neighborhood I've ever lived in, whether it was poor or whether it wasn't a poor neighborhood, it could be like Centennial Hills, doesn't really matter. Um, for me, any neighborhood I've lived in was pretty much predominantly white. Because, I mean, this country is white, so it kind of makes sense. So, you know, even the poor neighborhoods I lived in when I was like in my early 20s, um, yeah, I was it was mainly white people. So, I mean, like, and that's another thing with white privilege, okay? As I said before, my first job, and my second job too, I spent pretty much 2 years at the first job when I was in my early 20s, kind of like teens, where I made like, what was it, 4,000 or whatever a year? So little money. And guess who worked with me? it was white people. So I just don't get why people always say there's white privilege. Like, I don't even think white people have white privilege. Like I said, white privilege wouldn't make you stuck at a dead end job that's only making you get paid $4,000 a year and cuts you in 2 hours after you've sat down to work. I mean, like, white privilege should get you more than a job that really isn't even a job. Now, shouldn't it? I'm just saying. There's a lot of reasons white privilege just doesn't exist to me. But the point is that when it comes to this conversation, I kind of feel like angry biracial is literally showing his side of how he agreed with these women, basically, or at least maybe even if this was made up and he doesn't have the receipts to actually prove, because I haven't seen the receipts of biracial women telling him this. And if there are receipts, someone show them to me. But I've heard some people say that he may have made that up about his wife as well. But either way, to me, it's like he, in my opinion, saying that black women are you're just a black woman. It's believing in the racial hierarchy. And if you believe in the racial hierarchy, you have no business marrying a black woman with that kind of mentality. So, anyway, continue.
A small bit of a conversation, and I said I was comparing it to my from what I see of that dynamic. I don't live that dynamic. From what I see of that dynamic, that is what I was comparing it to. And you are trying to make it this super huge big thing that that's really not.
Am I? And I think, yes, you know what? Listen, please. One thing that I really do not want you to do is I don't want you to dismiss what it is that I'm saying, because I am a supporter of yours. I've promoted your videos, I've promoted your music, I've promoted your channel. I am a supporter, and as a supporter, I am telling you that there are things that you have a blind spot to in this conversation. And out of love, I am having this conversation with you. And you are telling me that I am, quote unquote, trying to do something. You want me to be very honest with you with what it is that I'm trying to do? Don't you listen to hear, not to respond. You want to know what I'm trying to do? I am trying to give you the floor so that you could add context and that you could come out on this conversation glowing. But what has happened is I have given you the floor, trying to give you the opportunity to come out glowing. And you have turned me. You, not somebody else, not somebody in the comments, because when I first started this video, I had a problem with that young lady. When I first started this video, it wasn't until I spoke to you and you were dismissive of me and you were hopping around and switching things up and trying to pretend as if it's only haters. And I'm telling you, you're talking to Tanya, and Tanya supported you. And now you're telling me what I'm trying to do when I was trying to actually listen. I gave you grace. I gave you a platform. I gave you a floor, and I gave you an opportunity to clean up your words. And what you did instead was you stuck your foot in your own mouth. This was an opportunity for you to come out on the other side glowing. Floor is yours, bro.
No, it came across like as y'all were attacking me for a conversation that was sent to you by people that literally attacked my wife. They literally attacked every aspect of me being married to a black woman. And it feels extremely one-sided. And I appreciate the fact that you've been promoting my videos, and I love you for that. It's just, I feel that this was an ambush, that it was completely one-sided. I tried to explain several times. I'm not a black woman. I don't know how you feel about the stuff how you feel about what you read. I can tell you that I didn't mean it that way. I can tell you that I was trying to make a comparison, but you're gonna feel whatever way you want to feel about it.
That is not true.
And I respect that. You have the right to feel about it. You're right. Black women go through a lot. Black women get dragged all the time, and that was And myself being married to a black woman, does not what I was trying to do at all. I was trying to make a comparison to that, and I feel that that's not being seen. All I feel is, oh, you said black women, so you're insulting black women. That was not the point I was trying to make. And if you felt that way, you personally, from me to you, if you felt that way, I apologize to you. That's not the point I was trying to make at all. And it feels like it's being turned into something that never was.
Wow. Listen. And you know what? Thank you for listen. There's no reason for you to guess how it is that I feel. You're in a conversation with me. I'm telling you how I felt reading the statement, and I've been telling you that for like the past 40 minutes. Because we've been on this for a long time. And you saying that it felt like an ambush, I don't know. I don't know what it is that you were perceiving when you came on here. I gave you ample opportunity to be able to discuss your daughters, to talk about the fact that you all had black dolls. And then I gave you the opportunity to clarify your statements, and you are saying that you felt as if you were ambushed. Ambushed by what? By what? I was just sent this. And right before you came on, I was just sent this. And I was hoping that, and you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I really thought, based on what it is that I've seen in your videos and from what it is that I have known of you publicly, I really thought that there would have been some expert explanation to your own words. But what I got in return was deflection, accusation, conflation, and dismissal. You dismissed me, and you're saying, well, however you're going to feel, you're going to feel. I gave you the opportunity to be able to have a discussion. It's not like we came on and we were talking and you never had the opportunity to even present your side. I really thought this was going to be an opportunity for you to come out glowing. I gave you this platform to talk. And so go ahead, say whatever it is that you want to respond to.
Well, I explained I explained that particular comment. I think it was conflated to be something it's not, and I've never had any ill will against black women. I got a lot of haters from that space, from that golden sphere space that I was a part in, and this is just another example of that. If you felt, because again, like I've been talking to you offline and online, and I appreciate your support. And if you felt like some type of way about that comment, then I'm sorry you felt that way. That's not what I meant by it. And I felt that every time I tried to explain it, it went off into another direction. And I can say that whenever I had conversations with those two particular women, I said a lot. I was very frustrated because a lot of things that they were saying about my wife, and I'll post those comments on my community tab from them on my own page, and so that can be clear about a lot of the things I was bombarded with from those two particular women in general, and some other biracial women in that space, about my wife, about being married to a black woman, and everything that I.
Like I said, with that whole thing of talking about the golden sphere, personally to me, in my experience with the golden sphere, and I've had experience with the golden sphere, I think longer than him, there are some sectors of the golden sphere. I mean, the golden sphere can act really crazy sometimes. And, I've seen how they can act, pretty crazy. Referencing people really negatively. The problem is the reaction. His reaction is my concern with this. It's not particularly the golden sphere. Golden sphere is going to be the golden sphere because that's what I'm not going to say everyone in the golden sphere is wrong. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying my experience, and some of the people there, they will say things like someone's an ape and stuff like that, and crazy terms about black women and stuff. You hear that. And also for me personally, the way I experienced certain things, it's not just that. It's like they have this like very like imaginary idea of people who are black and dark skinned and people who are not dark skinned. And it's almost like our lives have to be freaking perfect. We need to have white privilege. Our everything about us has to be a certain way, and it's always so weird to me. This is why mixed race and lighter skin goes along with the same ideology on those type of channels and things of that nature, because they have this whole fairy dust idea of people who are not dark skinned. And it's always odd to me. When I say not dark skinned, I mean people who are the color of a paper bag or lighter, who pass the paper bag test, basically. I'm not talking about people who don't identify as dark skinned who are darker than the paper bag. This is not the conversation about them. Even though there are some sectors that do belong to the golden sphere who are what I would register as dark skin, which is darker than a paper bag. I don't mean that in an offensive way. I think dark skin is beautiful, by the way. I'm just using, and I'm going to actually do a video on that in the near future on what I see the different complexions as, because I think there's a historical um, meaning to it that I want to press upon how I feel on that. But for now, anyway, my point is that I understand that there are sectors in the golden sphere that say pretty negative stuff. I mean, I was harassed for a long time just because I happen to not like dark skinned black men, and I was attacked like really crazy in similar ways that he's talking about, and not just particularly that, but also in the sense of just being attacked for having a dark skinned black mother, which at the time nobody even saw my mother at that time, you know. That was when I had my old channel, you know. But I was like harassed for like months on end for that. So, I mean, by different people trolling my channel and just getting crazy, basically. But my whole point was, the thing is not what some trolls say online. It's more so what the person reacting to the trolls is saying. And in his case, he specifically said that biracial women were just black women with a white parent, which means that you do buy into the idea that black women are inferior, in that biracial women need to shut up about it because they're inferior too. Which, I mean, like, if you buy into the whole racial hierarchy, every biracial woman would know that. Every biracial person would know they're inferior to white people who are the majority of society. That's why believing in the racial hierarchy is never going to benefit anyone but white people. But anyway, continue. And doesn't
Was
even,
in defense
by the way,
of my.
it doesn't benefit white people in their lives. It just benefits them in their confidence. Because, like I said before, there's not even really a white privilege that actually exists in society. Anyway.
My wife and that particular comment was from a different conversation. But then I appreciate you, Chief, for having me on, and yeah, that's all I gotta say about that.
Yeah, I think this is a lost opportunity for you, honestly. This is a lost opportunity for you because this is an opportunity for you to be able to introspect. You keep talking about how it is that you did not mean it. However, I am telling you from reading that comment that there is There is ingrained bias against Black women in that comment.
Yeah, and the point is of the conversation, I think it's a common understanding, in my opinion. It's a common understanding, and often you can find that in certain sectors where there's a common understanding that they all think that Black women are inferior. It is what it is. But to me, I don't think it's wrong to think someone, as long as you're not discriminating against someone, I don't think it's wrong to think that someone is inferior in the idea of dating them. Okay, so if I think that Black men are not my cup of tea, or Asian men are not my cup of tea, and that would be a lesser choice for me to personally date than someone who is Hispanic or white, then that's my personal choice because that's my preference. You get what I'm saying? And I think that people have a right to their preference. You know what I mean? But I don't believe in like discrimination. And what I don't really understand or agree with is people like him who choose a Black woman with the preconceived notions and the preconceived negative views towards Black women. Don't marry a Black woman if you hate Black women. That's a recipe for disaster. What happened? I don't know what happened there. Let me try it again. Sorry about the commercial.
A garden hose is like roadside assistance. You're taking a small bit of a conversation, and I said I was comparing it to my what I see of that dynamic. I don't live that dynamic. From what I see.
Let me just put this up to 37 minutes. There.
And I'm telling you, Jesse, from one human being to another, right? You have some internal bias inside of you that you are going to have to look within to clean up, because you don't see it. And we're having a conversation with you, and you're not taking this opportunity to be able to self-reflect and see it. And you know what? I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I'm going to allow you to go and continue on with your evening. But I'm telling you, there's some things that you have a blind spot to, some biases that you have against Black women that you're not acknowledging, because you love your Black wife and you love, and you know, and you have all of this love, etc., right? However, there's some biases that you don't seem to be aware of. And this is an opportunity for you to take some time, if you choose, to self-reflect.
There was no biases, Tanya. It's just y'all are.
Oh,
I
wow,
explained
really?
time
So
and
you're
time again.
saying you refuse to self-reflect?
Because I'm not gonna reflect on something that was taken out of context. That's not that's not what I meant, or whatever. I explained time and time again, but you want me to say it the way that you see it, and that's not how I see it. I don't even want you to say anything. I just want you to take some time off of this and just self-reflect. That's all I want, is for you to take some time after you get off of here and self-reflect. And you're saying that there's no need to, but I can tell you this, right? Maybe you don't respect me. Maybe you think I'm just one of these people who call Black women monkeys or something. Maybe you don't respect what it is that I'm saying. But if you, I never said that. Okay, do you respect me? I do respect you, Tanya. Okay, listen, and hold on. And this goes for anybody out there. When somebody who you respect tells you or asks you to self-reflect, out of what it is that you know of them and the respect that you have for them, take some time to self-reflect. If a person you respect asks you to, because in this life, there's a lot of growth that we all have to do. And there's a lot of people who are saying a lot of different things. We can't just chalk everybody up as a hater. If there's a person that we respect who asks us to self-reflect, please, I'm asking all of you out there to take the opportunity. And I'm not saying this for anybody. A bum on the street asks you to self-reflect, you may not need to do that. But if a person you respect asks you to self-reflect, take a few moments to self-reflect. Self-reflect. I just think you're wrong on this. That's all. I love your content. I appreciate you. I love you promoting my songs and stuff. I just think that you're wrong on this, and that's how I feel on it. I'm just one person, right? But there's 1,000 people on this broadcast, right? Yes. And I think that this is an opportunity for you to maybe perhaps take a survey. You know, you have your own platform that's growing right now. Why don't you take a survey on your platform with the people who do support you, so that you can't say that they're haters? Go to your platform then and post up your comment and ask the Black women there how they feel about it. But the answers that you get, listen to what it is that I'm saying. Weigh the answers from the people whom you respect with more weight. All right? That's all me see. Well, I'm saying that the haters, I'm not calling you a hater or anyone in the comments. I'm calling the two women specifically that have been trying to push this are haters. That's all I've been saying. You're dismissing. You're dismissing. I'm just saying, take some time to self-reflect. You're saying that you refuse. So what can I do? Thank you so much for coming on. You have a great rest of your evening. You too. This was a difficult conversation, which was recorded live. If you'd like to be a part of the show with thousands of other viewers, join my text notification.
Yeah, I kind of just feel like this comment here is really really true. I think from what I've seen of him, he's yeah, I really think that I didn't know that he was trying to do this angle where he's trying to do like a thing where he's claiming he's a biracial and he's a non-black man that basically is trying to cater to Black women. I didn't know that he was specifically trying to go about doing that until I've recently watched some of his content, which I was like, what the heck? That's just weird. and kind of moved along. From my perspective, as a person who isn't a dark-skinned black woman, he, to me, doesn't. He's very black phenotyped to me, so it's really weird his perspective or what he's trying to do on his channel in that regard. When he tries to cater to black women, it's very odd, especially since, like, he was talking about black women bashing black men, but that's a major thing he does on his own channel, all while basically, I mean, even if he was biracial, he is part black and he came from a black man. So, it's kind of odd he has this angle he's trying to go about it. But yeah, that's my perspective on that. But I think this comment was really true, basically, where they're saying, like, Angry Biracial was trying to build a biracial community, and he really was. I remember back in the day, I remember actually how his channel started out. And yeah, he was trying to start a thing with biracial women and so forth, which was really odd because it's like, how are you going to start a thing with biracial women while having chosen to be with black women? It makes the dynamic very odd, in my opinion, in that sense, to me. Because it's like you're saying biracial women are better than black women. Like, he did pretty much depict on his channel previously, but at the same time you're with a black woman, and that's, I think, the motivation of why he said biracial women are just black women with a white parent, because he feels upset he did not choose a biracial woman. I think, honestly, people who believe in this whole hierarchy thing, that their top woman would be white women, because white women would still be above biracial women. So I would advise any biracial woman not to get with a man like this, because he still doesn't have the right mindset towards any woman of any color, because basically he sees everyone as inferior. That's what his comment is specifically saying when he's saying you're just a black woman with a white parent. You're saying that you're not as good of a woman as a white woman, basically, because you're still a black woman. That's what he's trying to say there, you know. And like I said, if he was to actually say that Egyptians were white or Caucasian consistently, which he doesn't say, he actually said in his Cleopatra video that Egyptians are black, and his mother is Egyptian. That's the side that he's trying to claim is biracial, or what makes him biracial, because his father is a black American. So, even by his own standards, he's actually not biracial. But the point is, if he were to actually consistently say that Egyptians were white Caucasian people, I would say that it's not really a shock for him to prefer women of his mother's race. But the problem I have is choosing a black woman while not preferring black women. I have an issue with anyone choosing someone that isn't their preference, because it's a recipe for dysfunction, you know? And so that is mainly my input in this. I just kind of feel like, he's looking for a disaster. I guess maybe if you know his past of prison, of a lot of other less desirable traits, and lack of, he's made a few mistakes in his life, let's just say, and things of that nature. I think that has brought him down this road of choosing a woman that is not actually his preference, and someone who he basically settled for. So that's all I have to say in this video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and have a great day. Bye, guys.